Folks, welcome into That Betting Show for January 23rd, 2019. He's Teddy Sabransky. Give him a follow on Twitter at Teddy_covers. I'm Donnie Seymour. Give me a follow on Twitter at RightSideVP. That Betting Show, your one-stop shop for all your sports betting needs, designed to get you in and out in under 20 minutes. Teddy, you're looking really refreshed today. Late night out on the town, little UNLV basketball action?
Yeah, I actually left the house last night. You know, every night I sit home and watch basketball. Last night, I got some tickets, brought the family to UNLV. And it was fun to spend a couple hours outside of my own home office. Good to get out and see a game. Rebels kicked ass. Unfortunately, I had a bad night betting. So I got to come home and sit down and get started on my work late and recapping. But bottom line is we all got to get out once in a while. I went out to the Rebel game last night. Was a good time.
There you go, Teddy, out on the town here. We'll get right into it here on That Betting Show. Hot topics, as we always like to hit yesterday, and certainly mix in some gambling information inside of those. No letdown last night, Teddy, for UVA or Duke, despite that big Titanic battle, which came spread-wise right down to the final jumper on Saturday, where Duke prevailed at home over Virginia. Virginia goes back home, opens up a huge lead in an easy victory. Duke goes on the road, cruises to victory as well. Both get the win and covers on the road. The sign of a great team, Teddy, being able to rebound, get off the schneid, and get that win and cover.
All that being said, Duke's opponent and Virginia's opponent last night were very beatable. Neither one played a good game. And we're talking about two of the very best basketball teams in all of college hoops, as we really saw in the showdown on Saturday. That was, lived up to all expectations, worthy of the hype. The fact that they were able to bounce back and get point spread covers, we'll give the coaching staff credit on both sides for that one. Getting your team to refocus off a huge game is something good coaches are able to do. Bennett and Coach K got the job done in that regard for their backers last night. Yeah,
how about that, Teddy? UVA closing around minus 21.5. They jump out to that 25-3 lead. Looks like you're going to coast in. And look at that final score, how it comes right under the microscope, 68-45. Same thing, Duke, minus 13.5 on the road. Looked to be really easy, not really, out of the realm of, look, Duke's in trouble in this game. But you see the final closing score there, 79-64. That's why gambling's great. It's not always about winning that game. It's about whether you can cover the spread. Both of those get the wins and cover. Teddy, let's flip it over a little bit to some NFL news. And my, oh my, how one play can change the course of your coaching career, of your head coaching career, of your team or your organization winning championships here. A lined up all sides D4. Now, look, was it the end all be all in the game? Me and Teddy covered that yesterday. No, it wasn't. But if he stays on side, Bob Sutton moves on with his career. Andy Reid gets to another Super Bowl with a chance to right many wrongs out there. It's amazing, Teddy, when you look at some of the career-changing plays that can happen in just an instant here.
Sure. And, my old friend Dave Malinsky, rest his soul. Many of you, of course, are familiar with what Dave has done over the years at Sportsbook Review. But his all thing was the play's the thing, a take on the Shakespeare, where one play can literally affect the trajectories of teams, of franchises, of players indefinitely. You're right. One offsides call is the difference between Bob Sutton being a Super Bowl defensive coordinator and Bob Sutton looking for work on Monday morning. Now, did Bob Sutton instruct D4 to jump offsides or line up offsides or take it? I don't even know. I don't want to talk about this Patriots left tackle not being on the line of scrimmage in that game because that'll get me on a diatribe, which we don't want to do. But the bottom line is, yeah, Sutton's defense didn't play well all year. The numbers declined each of the last two seasons fairly precipitously. And, Kansas City had 3 games this year where they scored, 40 and didn't win. They gave up 524 yards and 13 of 19 conversions on third down. Some of that's Tom Brady being great. But the bottom line is Bob Sutton takes the fall. That's what happens in this world. Somebody takes the fall when you lose. Somebody gets the blame. Sutton, the guy who got it. And frankly, he probably deserves some of it in this instance. The Chiefs' defense, in my mind, underachieved in many ways this season compared to their talent level.
Yep, good old friend Steve Spagnuolo, who we've known for a long time in Philadelphia, certainly a defensive coordinator with the Giants, was also head coach of the Rams, in line as the favorite to get that job. Andy Reid reaching back into his bag of trips. Folks, this is That Betting Show, and if you haven't done so yet, give us a follow at SBR Sports Picks on Twitter. Also on the YouTube channel, every day we say, get that notification every time That Betting Show goes into production, produced out to you. check in and SBRodds.com, which we're going to go over right now. Some interesting line moves. Teddy, yesterday we took a look at the Notre Dame line move action because we had 3 key injuries early in the day that looked like they were going to mess with that Notre Dame Georgia Tech line. Late in the afternoon, 2 of the 3 players play. Line comes down to about -1, -2. I was able to pick up a winner on Georgia Tech plus 2.5 with the outright winner. Some interesting shenanigans here. TCU, Teddy, opens up -5 overnight, dips to around -1 this morning. We all know Jalen Fisher's been out a couple games, going to enter into the transfer portal in NCAA action, but a 4-point line move here, Teddy, in Big 12 action.
Yeah, and there was some concerns about whether Kouat was going to be able to play. He's been upgraded to probable for this contest. So when you see a line move of this magnitude, -5 down to -1, and the guy who people are concerned about, an upgraded to probable, something doesn't mesh there. So I expect we're going to hear something come out as the day progresses to explain this line. I mean, right now, I got no explanation for it. It's been a torrent of money coming in against TCU.
Yeah, TCU losers of 3 of 4 games here. So we'll see what happens. Texas picking up a nice victory over Oklahoma over the weekend. Some outlets here reporting back there 1.5s and 2s are showing up. So we'll see if that makes a little bit of a bounce back there. Maybe he was not supposed to play in this basketball game, but obviously being upgraded to probable, that could change some things out here for us. Illinois getting some early morning love versus Wisconsin. Wisconsin opens up as a -6, drops to around a -4 here. If we take a look at the total action in this game, Wisconsin -4 versus Illinois, total 138. Moneyline split, Teddy, -195 plus 166. No real key injury information this one, but if we can look at some past games, Wisconsin fresh off a big win over Michigan, who escaped last night versus Minnesota, and Illinois got blasted by Iowa here, but some interesting line movement coming down in the favor of those Illini.
Sure, and I mean, the Illini last home game, they blew Minnesota off the floor. There tends to be a fair bit of market support for some of the dregs in these conferences when they play at home. And I'm sure that some of this money coming in is anti-Badgers money off the impressive upset win over Michigan from a spot standpoint, playing at home, knocking off, what was Michigan? I don't even know what they are, number 1, number 3, knocking off a top 5 team in the Wolverines at home, and then going on the highway to an opponent that you always beat and you always win and you always cover against Illinois. The market's viewing this as a flat spot for the Badgers, hence all the Illini money.
Teddy, NFL action always going to be under scope here for us with Super Bowl 53 lining up for next Sunday. And we saw a little bit of some interesting happenings there in Las Vegas. South Point saying, you know what, we're about to move this bad boy to a -3, Teddy. Let's see how long it lasts. Didn't last very long. -3s were out there momentarily, pulled back down to 2.5. We also saw some interesting offshore market movement as well. Pinnacle was holding steady yesterday at a 1.5 in the favor of the Patriots. Has this morning moved to 2 and now has since moved to even 2.5. But it looks like that 2.5 number, Teddy, that you predicted all along, that's going to be that buying point. Flip it up to 3. People pound the Rams back to 2.5. Stays under 2.5. Patriots money. So it looks like we're going to play this cat game all the way through here, Teddy, right up till Super Bowl Sunday.
I'm not convinced. All right, let's talk a little bit about the line move from yesterday, where Chris Andrews from the South Point, the race sportsbook director, talking about he was going to put up the props, the first group of props today on Wednesday. And he said, well, we've gotten a lot of money coming in on New England so far. I want to gauge what the appetite is for bettors if we hang a 3. And he found out in 17 minutes. You know, the 2.5 bet, the 2.5 moved up to 3, and the 3 back to 2.5. I think it was 17 minutes and 18 seconds. Didn't last long. The first 3 out there. So he wanted to set his prop prices with a better knowledge of how much wise guy support there was out there on LA. That was the primary reason that they moved to 3 yesterday, was just to gauge. Now, when we talk about where's this line going to go from here, there are indicators that it's going to go to 3 across the board. At 3, there will be some wise guy buyback, but this isn't a regular game. This isn't a regular season game. It's the only game in any sport all year where it doesn't matter how much wise guy money there is, the public money dwarfs the wise guy money. This is the 1 point spread where public support has to be accounted for. That's why I think we will see 3s, and I think we'll see them before Super Bowl Sunday. And the wise guys may feast all you can eat on +3, But the books will get balanced action, and the books that don't take wise guy money will get all Patriots money. The 2.5, and even at 3, I'm not convinced it's going to stem the tide of public money on New England.
Yeah, Las Vegas has done very well over the years, as it's documented as well with the Super Bowl numbers, where the public usually gets its head squashed like a grape a little bit, and it's setting up it's Patriots money all over the place. It's everybody looking Patriots. It'll be fun to keep an eye on that. And, of course, people, if you do want to see those line movements updated daily down to the minute, SBRodds.com is the only place to check that out. Segment number 3 today, Teddy, watch what you bet. And I picked an interesting one tonight. It is an ESPN2 national game, but I always like to see how a team is going to respond when faced with being propped up on that podium, holding the gold medal, hand in the air, finger in the air. We're number one. Well, now it's stepping up to the deck. It's going to be those Tennessee Volunteers going on the road versus Vanderbilt, favored by double digits, Teddy. -10 showing up, total of 149. Money line split of +440, -535. Going to take place in Nashville tonight. Added pressure, Teddy, with being number one. Now you have the target on your back. How does Tennessee respond in this game tonight?
Yeah, it's added pressure being number one. And yeah, it's an in-state rival that really wants to knock you off. And no, Tennessee is not a team that's used to being in these spots and has been in all these pressure situations before, that we trust them in this double-digit spread range on the highway. All that being said, Vandy's a freaking train wreck right now. This is not a team playing good basketball. They're coming off a 16-point home loss to Mississippi State. 0-5 straight up, just 1-4 against the spread their last 5 contests. The one cover did come as a double-digit dog. But the biggest issue for the Commodores right now, they can't put the biscuit in the basket. 38% shooting during this 0-5 skid. And the one thing I don't want in a matchup against Tennessee is a team that cannot hit shots, because the Vols' defense has been stellar all year. It's been stellar of late, holding foes, under 39% shooting during that same 5-game span. So you got a team that can't hit shots against an elite defensive squad that isn't giving up good looks. I understand the spot for Vandy. I'm not laying with Tennessee, but can I get to the window with the Commodores, given their struggles and given their issues scoring right now? No, I can't. Clear pass for this better.
Yeah, looking to go 6-0, just checking some of the numbers out there, Teddy, with that win over Alabama, which was close, 71-68, but before that, really putting away some decent competition. Arkansas blew them out. Florida, winner by double digits. Missouri, winner by double digits. We'll see how those Tennessee Volunteers, respond tonight, being the number one team in the nation. Take it over the association.
And hang on one second,
ESPN.
Donnie.
Yeah, go ahead. What do we got,
Let me just cut you off real quick. I don't cut you off very often, but I wanted to talk the total in this game, because that total has bet down like crazy. It was 149 at the open. Now we're looking at 145.5 in a lot of spots. And again, when I talked about the Vandy offensive struggles and the Tennessee strong defensive efforts, certainly you can understand why that money has come on the under. If I was going to get involved in this one, that might be some steam worth chasing.
There you go. The reason to cut off Donnie Rightside, Teddy. Pertinent information. Cut me off whenever you please, whenever we're handing the public some nuggets of stuff, right?
No, I'm just kidding. I had no reason to cut you off there.
Try it for a second time there. Yep, headed to the association, Teddy. My Sixers back in play. And when we were punching up the script this morning for the show, didn't have a line. And why didn't we have a line, which now shows up at the Sixers as a favorite of -4 on the home court at the Wells Fargo Center? Taking a look at this game. Why? Ben Simmons, questionable with an illness, Teddy. Jimmy Butler's wrist, missed last game. Now he's questionable for this one. Joel Embiid actively updated to active and probable for this game, but a line was released a short while ago with the Sixers favored by 4. Over-under of 225. Moneyline split, Steady +180, -215. Injuries a worry for you here, Teddy? Because we know straight up the best road team in the NBA, obviously, those San Antonio Spurs. But if we're going to look at any mix of maybe Ben Simmons under the weather, Jimmy Butler not playing, you might get a little bit of value here on the Spurs.
You might, if these guys don't suit up. And this is a situation that we're not really going to know what's going to happen until the hour or so before tip-off. So I don't want to give you, these guys definitely aren't playing, or they definitely are playing. But one thing we know about Philadelphia, okay, this is a star-laden team. Last year's Sixers squad got good production off the bench. This year's squad has not gotten that requisite level of production. It's a star-first team. They got 4 superstars on the team, and everyone else is whatever. That's not necessarily the best scenario. And I don't mean to be sarcastic, whatever, but I mean, it's 4 key players for Philly, and a bunch of role players that have been mediocre. San Antonio, they got a big three, but the Spurs role players have been exceptional all year, really exceptional. And the depth of San Antonio has given a lot of teams fits. When it comes for bench against bench, the Spurs always have the edge, or often have the edge. And of course, San Antonio coming off a bad effort. They got smacked at home against the Clips. Popovich after the game, I think they out-executed us and out-competed us tonight every way, shape, and form. And we were sloppy with the ball on top of it, so that's a bad combination. I like Pop off a game where he's pissed at his team, and certainly DeMar DeRozan coming off, he had 8 points in that game, 4 of 16 shooting, his worst shooting game in a Spurs uniform, and his second worst, 8 points is the second fewest total that he's had in San Antonio. DeRozan should be primed for a bounce back here, but there are concerns about his ankle. He has been dealing with, they're calling it a tender ankle, whatever that means, something else worth paying attention to when it comes to pregame warmups for this one. Lean San Antonio haven't pulled the trigger.
Off the mic segment here, Teddy. Dedicated to his craft. Now, look, Teddy went out last night, probably had a couple pops at the UNLV game, woke up refreshed, ready to bring you that betting show and give you the pertinent information that you need. But how about this, Teddy? In that same realm of how you struggled last night, waking up this morning and bringing this, a defensive lineman stays at the Senior Bowl practices knowing this could mean making an NFL team, getting drafted, or improving your draft stock. Has a child, or his fiance has a child, stays in camp, Teddy. I know it's not as dedicated as we are here at sportsbookreview.com, but still noteworthy, right?
Sure. And look, when it comes down to an issue like this, all right, where it is the potential between making a roster, missing a roster, making $1 million in the NFL, making nothing in the NFL, and sending out resumes at the end of the process, you can understand why a kid wants to stay in the Senior Bowl, even when his fiance is having a baby. And I'll tell you what, I was at the hospital when my wife delivered our child. And yeah, it was great to be there. But you know what? If I had the Senior Bowl, I wouldn't have been there.
Maybe Will Greer skips that as a starting quarterback, but you got to say the dedication where he's having his firstborn child there, and it's like, look, I got to take care of this child, and me being here in Mobile, Alabama, wherever I think it's Mobile, Alabama, being played, much more important at this point. So the dedication is there, and that should send that should send gold flags out to NFL teams. Like, man, this man is dedicated to his craft and really cares, Teddy.
Either that or he doesn't like his fiancée that much.
Yeah. No, exactly. Switching over to baseball, Mo Rivera goes into the Hall of Fame, Teddy, with 100% of the vote. Not even Babe Ruth could get that. Finally seeing this, knockdown where we can't put Ken Griffey Jr. in. We can't put, the Alomars in or whoever with 100% of the vote. Finally, it breaks through here with Mo Rivera going in. Also going in with him, Martinez, Halladay, and Mussina get the call. Just missing out, Kurt Schilling, Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, and Walker, who also got over 50% of the votes here. Talk to me, Teddy. Mo Rivera goes in the Hall of Fame 100%.
I wouldn't have voted for him. Not first ballot. Flat out. Any Yankees fan will tell you.
Get him. Yes, get him, Teddy. Go ahead.
Any Yankees fan will tell you, Mo Rivera. Oh, yeah, great. What do you have, 1,200 innings as a major league pitcher? Okay, fine.
But Teddy,
he did a bunch of good stuff.
Yeah.
Mo Rivera single-handedly did two things that all Yankees fans will remember and hate forever. He single-handedly cost him the World Series against Arizona. That was Rivera in the ninth inning, making the error, making the bad throw, giving up the 2 runs in Game 7 with a lead. And it was Mariano Rivera that cost them when they were up 3-0 on the Red Sox in 2004. Rivera was in to save Game 4. Rivera was in to save Game 5. Did not get the job done in either of those spots. So not only did he cost them a title that year, he also created the Red Sox, the modern Red Sox, who have 4 titles since, and it ended my favorite chant in sports, 1918. That was the best, when the Red Sox were around. That's Rivera did that. So no, I wouldn't have voted for him first ballot, but I also want to ramble here for a minute about who these writers are and who the Hall of Fame voters are, because make no mistake about it, all right? The guys who are voting for the Hall of Fame, you'd be stunned if you knew who's actually getting these ballots. The Jeff Passan column from ESPN today. Quote, he was interviewing the guys that didn't vote for Clemens and Bonds. Quote, only 10% or so are full-time baseball writers. Plenty are retired. Some are general sports columnists. A handful are football writers. Others cover hockey, golf, and college basketball. Another does digital marketing. One writes for the American Heart Association. These are the guys who are actually voting. These are the Hall of Fame voters. They're ancient and they don't know much about modern state of baseball. That's how these decisions are getting made. It's not the sharp analytics guys who are voting for Hall of Fame. It's a bunch of retired guys who have been, filling out these ballots for 50 years. That's who gets the votes. So take it all with a grain of salt, Donnie. It's, it is what it is.
Passion and fire here on That Betting Show for January 23rd. Of course, he's Teddy Safransky. I'm Donnie Seymour. Thanks for tuning in again. Teddy's going to bring that fire once again on Thursday as we look at some more hardcore action and also the NBA and Association. Keep you up to date on that lines. Thanks for tuning in, folks. We'll catch you tomorrow.